And we're back with another episode of Let's Play Bravely Default. I'm your host, the RPG guy, and we're off for more dragon slaying. Because why not? So yeah, we need to get those keystones, and the only way to get them is to slay us a smorgasbord of dragons. And we'll start with this guy here. And it's the same strategy as we've pretty much been using from the get-go. No reason to change it now. And so, let's see here. Poison. And yeah, we'll just go with what we've been doing. And it kicked in immediately. Oh, that sucks. Come on, ring a bell. You're killing me here. We'll just keep at it, I guess. Leave even though we wouldn't damage him, we can still get the effect to show up. I'm gonna try for it. Oh my god. Okay, screw this. Oh shit, I did the wrong skill. Ah, well, we've got Super Utsume, which does nothing. We'll just use that. I'm tired of dicking around with poison. If we can't get it to connect that easily, then let's just move on with damage. And who knows, maybe if he gets low on MP, I'll switch it up. Well, we know she's got Utsume on. Ooh. Such little damage. Boom. That's why we do it. Alright, let's try that. You see, I'm deep in thought during this fight. One screw up is all it takes, really, at this point. And he's down. Tiz gets the skill worm turns. Yeah. Do. Another one bites the dust. Baby do. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone. And another one gone. And another one bites the dust. Hey, we got the motherfucker do. Another one bites the dust.
All right, 2 more to go.
I'm actually going to try something out here because these are all magically driven enemies that we have resistance items for. I'm going to pop those on and see if that helps the caster's survivability. I mean, at this point, it's not a big deal, but it is something kind of floating in the back of my mind. We just had really bad luck trying to poison that boss and get it easy, roughly 50k of damage in from Ring a Bell, but oh well. It heals what it heals. That's all that it heals. Let's make a save, because saving's our friend. Alright, well, let me think here. See if we can locate the other dragon here. We have to keep our eyes peeled. Gosh darn it, why the darkness have to come? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Just save right outside it. And kill it like the rest. No, really, that's all we're gonna do is kill it like the rest. Now, this one, I believe its breath attack sucks even more because I think it can paralyze or stop us. One of the two. But we are going to be a little resistant to it. I'm going to actually... Strangely enough, Ringabel survived that. That's interesting. Let's just make sure that we can try to get it to connect. If it doesn't connect after this, clearly it's not going to work. There, I think I got it. Doesn't look poisoned. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Are we still under... I don't think we're under the effects of her stillness anymore. Still fucking killed him. Nice. Such terrible damage. I believe it's weak to thunder. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Nice. I don't know why I'm using thunder. What's wrong with me? Why am I not using... Oh, god damn it. Exterminate. Ah. Never a break. Well, that went in a very strange direction. Well, back to the drawing board. That's weird. And he's down. Nice, another support ability. We got one more to go.
won.
You have defeated my guardian. Very well. I shall grant you the Water Keystone.
All right, one more to go.
Alright. That means the only one that can be left is the Earth one. Which... no, screw it. We'll just keep doing what we've been doing. And Labris is done. That is now 11. He's got a little bit further to go. All very good little goodies there versus this stuff. I think this stuff might actually go faster. We'll get started on that. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and heal up. We've taken a prime beating from these dragons. They're mostly just, to be honest with you, they're mostly just cheap. So we have to kind of be cheap back to them. I guess we could put on some gear that prevents some of the damage and whatnot, but I have no problems being a cheap asshole when it comes to enemies that are awkwardly overpowered for the sake of being overpowered. And I know that we've been spending a lot of time with Adia on Ninja and Tiz on Swordmaster. They're going to switch roles in a little while. Probably after the conclusion of this side quest. Just because we have to. We just don't have a right around it. We got to switch their roles so they can learn other stuff. But I'm not doing it during this massively difficult side quest. Argued to be one of the hardest in the game. And after this, there's only one side quest left, if I'm not mistaken, with regards to getting jobs. And so take that in stride. But it is something to be wary of. Let's do this. So again, Hitsume. We're gonna just double him up instead. Okay, got it the second time. Very good. Ability... block. Attack. Nice. And that's all fine. Nice. Still not enough to protect them. Alright, well that's fine. We'll stick to the usual suspects. The last dragon. And yeah, he's gonna start spamming that, so... Nice. And he's down. Final dragon done. Yay. Woo.
We won.
You have defeated my guardian. Very well. I shall grant you the Earth Keystone.
All right. We have them all now. Let's return to Vampire Castle with haste.
Yeah, with haste. Okay. So we still have encounters turned off, yay. However, we're going to turn encounters back on once we get to DeRosa's. Because, yeah, clearly we need to recover, but our characters need XP and JP still. It's still a thing. We don't want to forget about it. So it'd be kind of lame to do that, right? So let's go ahead and make a save. Saving's our friend. But with that said, let's make our way to the castle, and then we'll undo everything there. And like I said, we're gonna wait till the end of the side quest to start moving jobs around. We also will have 2 new jobs to kind of fiddle with, but it's easier said than done. There's a lot that goes in that will be involved in that. We may also not actually achieve the conclusion of this side quest because we still have a dungeon to go through. It's a lot of work to get this one knocked out. Not gonna lie, guys. It's a hard side quest. A lot of people have skipped over doing this one and the later one because they're pretty difficult, and you're stuck having to kind of use some shady or shifty job ability tactics to get through it, which many people find a little bit awkward.
Did you hear that sound? I believe the gate is finally unlocked.
That was anticlimactic. He could have at least included a flash, a bang, or a puff of smoke.
Let's head in before Ringabel has a chance to flap his gums again.
Alright, let's just... Oh yeah, I said I was going to turn encounters back on. Unless they're too ridiculous, and then we'll turn them back off. Because at this point, it's like I could just grind somewhere if I need the XP. But right now, we kind of don't. We shouldn't need it. We need the JP more than anything. But we'll see how rough this is. One of those things you can always come back later.
Here, even colder than it is outside.
Look at all those paintings. Did we just stumble into an art gallery?
They all have a sort of forlorn look to them.
It's out. There we go. Move things along here. And they freaking hit hard. Job points are so good. I attempt to make a joke and then I choke on my own spit. Alright. A dragon fang? You pretty much see the stairs in the back there. Oh boy, confusion. Let's might have to deal with that. Alright. Did not consider that at all. As you can clearly see. Charm's probably not going to be a problem. Charm's not going to probably be a problem. That would be better. Wait a minute, who has stop sign? Who has the immunity here? Okay, so that's fine for now. For now. Should probably start picking up doubles and whatnot of the status effect resistant gear. Oh shit, you know what? Now that I think of it. Deal with this first. Ah, crap, she only attacked once. We will be fixing that accordingly. Now we know Adia is much further ahead than everybody else is in XP, so that's gonna be what that's gonna be for now. really good item hidden here. The Blood Blade. Take a look at it, just a look at it. With the Drain ability. Thus making Templar, and even just equipping that weapon on a character, more viable for certain conflicts. Something to think about. Bloodblades in these games are interesting, but not always effective. Or as effective as you would expect them to be. Let's just put up Cura. That's where I screwed up.
My, what a large portrait. Is that Lord De Rosso?
His wife was sure an attractive one. Oh, and it says something under the painting. Lester, eldest son of the House of De Rosso, future clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy, born in the land of Eternia on a cold winter's day. So, that's his mother, not his beautiful young wife. And that little baby is Lord De Rosso.
Clergyman? Of the Crystal Adventists?
Is something the matter, Agnes?
The Crystal Adventists were the predecessors of the Crystal Orthodoxy. It is now known as the Old Faith, but it hasn't been practiced in over 2,400 years. How could he have been a member of the Adventist clergy? According to this portrait, Lord De Rosso is incredibly old, even ancient.
Yes, indeed. For I was born of these frozen lands in a time some 2,400 years from this day.
And this portrait?
I was but an infant, as you can see. This is a reproduction, however. The original was lost long ago to fire.
And what of the part that reads, Clergyman of the Crystal Adventists and Cardinal of the Crystal Orthodoxy?
Yes. As Wind Vestal, you would be expected to take interest in such matters. But ere I delve into the matter of the Old Faith and the Orthodoxy, allow me to tell of the founding of this land. As you may well know, this land had long been ruled by the Crystal Orthodoxy.
You don't say.
However, 15 years passed, the Templar rose up and occupied their lands. Thus was the Duchy of Eternia born. Or so I expect you have been taught. However, the Templar did not found a new state. In truth, he restored an ancient dynasty.
He did?
Long before the Crystal Orthodoxy ruled this land, it was known as the Kingdom of Eternia. In a time 2,400 years past, Eternia was a bountiful land blessed with 4 distinct seasons. The highlands were not as lofty as they are today. People and ideas flowed freely from other lands. The kings of Eternia were protectors of the Earth Crystal and the Crystal Adventists, ruling in peace for generations. To the west lay the castle of the House of De Rosso, hereditary dukes of Eternia with royal blood in their veins. Relations with the royal family were good, and ever did the kings of Eternia treat the dukes of our house with kindness. In return, the House of De Rosso did faithfully serve generations of Eternian kings.
Well, the more you know. We get a safety ring for our trouble. And up we go. Acrobats. That's how I prefer my battles go. A little effort entirely. Nice. Oh boy. I'm on fire. They're getting a drop on us pretty badly here. All right. Sweet. That would have been nice earlier. Just a little bit.
What magnificent vestments. This must be none other than Lord De Rosso.
'Tis a portrait of my ordainment as Cardinal of the Orthodoxy. I was as yet... No, let us move on to other matters. I was born of the House of De Rosso, hereditary Dukes of Eternia. Blessed was my youth. My parents showered affection upon me, and I was beloved by the people. And the king bestowed favor upon me as well. Upon royal recommendation, I was made a cleric of the Crystal Adventists, the Old Faith, in my 19th year. I devoted my body and soul to my clerical duties, for king, for kingdom, for faith. Sleep became an oft-missed luxury. But before long, a new tide began sweeping through the Crystal Adventists. There were those who wanted the clergy to control the four crystals of Luxembourg, rather than local monarchies and temples. That belief formed the core of the Crystal Orthodoxy. The Eternian royal family, keepers of the Earth Crystal, immediately assented to this new way. I soon found myself appointed to the position of Cardinal in the Orthodoxy. Me, a mere cleric. Cardinal De Rosso. Those were my days of glory. Even now, the mere sound of the then-new title is dear to me. The old faith was remade entirely into the Crystal Orthodoxy, and the decision was made to elect a Grand Patriarch to rule. Thereupon, cardinals throughout the world gathered for a conclave to elect the first Grand Patriarch. Amid the conclave's maelstrom, I was approached by a cardinal who wished for me to vote for his choice. I suppose it was my youth and sincerity that made me reject the notion out of hand. But that was my downfall, for I was forced from the position of cardinal by the fraudulently elected Grand Patriarch. I had been but fervent in my beliefs and ideals. What I did only for the Orthodoxy, and for the people of this world.
The old faith and the Orthodoxy. The Kingdom of Eternia and the Duchy. That was all a bit hard to follow.
I agree. There are no major differences in teachings between the Old Faith and Orthodoxy. They both revere the four crystals. I have heard that the Adventists gave way to the new and truer ideas of the Orthodoxy and faded away.
No wonder the old faith was abandoned.
Yet there is more to the story, for history is not more than accounts recorded by the victorious. To solidify their power, the victors showered contempt upon the vanquished. So it was those who held the reins of power within the Orthodoxy relentlessly pressed for the Adventists' eradication. No one recalls the words of the vanquished if the victorious write them out of history. 'Tis as if they had never existed.
I'd been taught that the battle between the two faiths had been fierce, and in its wake, devastation persisting to this day covered all the lands.
That is an uncharacteristically accurate account for the Orthodoxy, save for their false reckoning of time. It was after the Orthodoxy had begun ruling the world that the endless conflict with the Adventists began. I should know, for I was there to bear witness firsthand.
Lord De Rosso, how could you possibly be that old?
Well, and so we learned about the rise and fall of the church. Ringbell, you were sawing logs almost the entire time Lord De Rosa was speaking. Sawing logs? She means you were sleeping. Ah, so it was that obvious. Obvious you were snoring like a bear. I was. You'll have to forgive me. Even I know that's really rude. That it is, even if that was an incredibly long bit of oratory. That's right, Ringabel, you were really rude. I mean, your snoring even woke me up. What, you mean you were sleeping too, Adia? Ah, great.
Lord De Rosso's...
From the old faith to the Orthodoxy, Lord
Whoops.
De Rosso's fate was sealed upon his ordainment.
Let's keep moving. And because of the nature of what comes after getting this side quest done, I will say this might be a long episode just because we want to get things moving forward here for a very specific little wee bit of grinding that I have to do. And it's weird. It is very weird. So compared to the type of work and weirdness that we've already done with jobs already, it'll make more sense once we get to that point, though. The Soul of Thamasa. Strangely enough, a piece of gear we see in all kinds of games. Greatly raises intelligence. Well, when status effects are no longer a thing, that's definitely something we can do. No. I was going the right way to begin with, darn it. Ooh, she got knocked out. At least we can break out of it. Okay. More baddies. Whoop.
This This one shows a castle in flames.
A large army surrounds it. It looks as if it could fall at any moment.
Is this not this very castle? See, this is the western corridor right here.
There's another castle burning in the distance. It's near where Eternian's central command is today.
So then, that's the Orthodoxy's head temple in flames?
Oh no.
Nay, the distant castle in flames belonged to the King of Eternia, and the castle in the fore. 'Tis the abode of my family, the House of De Rosso.
But why? Why would such a terrible thing?
The Kingdom of Eternia was suddenly beset by a great host from another land. We would later come to know that it was a four-state coalition sent by order of the Crystal Orthodoxy. They had been told the King of Eternia sought a return to Adventism and was arming for war against the Orthodoxy. The Grand Patriarchy used this fiction to order a great muster of forces from across the lands. Alas, I failed to heed the many warning signs. I rejected the scheming Cardinal's choice for Grand Patriarch. But he succeeded in luring votes from other factions, and his became the ruling faction of the Grand Patriarchy. It was they who wished to establish Crystal Orthodoxy as the uncontested world religion. Under their orders, the castle of the Eternian King was besieged. It fell in mere weeks. Before long, the great host was at the gates of our castle, and my father lay brutally murdered. The water supply was poisoned, and the Orthodoxy's forces drew an ironclad ring around the castle. By then, the castle sheltered naught but the elderly, the young, the wounded. There was no hope of resistance. I was forced to sue for peace, even offering my own mother as hostage per their demands. Yet that failed to break the siege. The commoners who had placed their faith in my family and me slowly starved to death. It was then that a letter arrived from a man. That man was the Cardinal, who had sought to influence my vote. The Fiend was now the officer in charge of the attack. He wrote that he would not accept my surrender. Such was the hatred he bore for me. Such hatred that he was willing to let countless innocents die. My mother had been murdered. Our castle was consumed in flames. That is the painting you see here.
How could the Orthodoxy do such a thing?
Very easy. Stab, 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 stab. Alright. How could evil people do evil things? Or how could evil people do things in the name of something that's good? Trust me, it's many JRPGs, especially the old ones, have always had a big discussionary... Ooh. Let's stop this for a second. Clearly we have a problem. I got a little out of control. But these old Final Fantasy games, or Final Fantasy-like games, have always, over the decades, been very showing off of, you know, the good and evil of, like, churches and blah, 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 blah. Strangely enough, it only had 2 health left. No, it's clearly insta-give kicked in. But yeah, so I'm not, you know, it's not a surprise to me that there'd be a game that has that kind of stuff brought up in discussion. Again, confirm, boom, get that going. Yay. Nice. And they get the first strike too. That is such a load of shit. Okay, so that spreads. Counterattacks. God damn it. Oh, there goes the healing. This is gonna be a wipe. That's gonna be a wipe there. With those gosh darn counterattacks. Where are they gonna put us here? Okay, at the beginning of the floor. It's fine. Yeah, sometimes we're just gonna get robbed like that in a battle. We're gonna have to, in a sense, up how we do damage here. In that particular sense, we're gonna start blasting single target ice spells. Because that will knock the Cerberus enemies down pretty better than what we were doing before. Oh. Just never break, man. And you know what? Because I'm noticing that we're running out of time, we're going to turn encounters off. I wanted to get through the freaking boss fight, but it's just taking too long. Luckily, this game allows me to skip a lot of this. Because if I'm going to grind later, there's no point, right? In dragging this out further. Clearly, the Cerberus can counterattack every time you attack it. And unless you can negate the damage, they can take out a single character pretty quickly. And that's, of course, not going to fly. Not in the long run.
Fierce flames.
Though I wish not to remember that day, it is indelibly etched upon my mind.
How did you survive?
The Orthodoxy lay siege and would accept no surrender. My mother, father, relatives, and my people lay dead. It was then I set our castle ablaze. But as the flames began to lick my body...
This is gonna be a long episode, guys. I'm sorry.
Betrayed by the precepts I believed in, was I not bitter? Robbed of my beloved homeland, my dearest of kin, my people, slain. Amid such despair, was I content to simply welcome death? Nay, I heard a voice. Accept me, and I shall grant life everlasting. Though it shall be filled with grief, thou shalt have all eternity to wreak vengeance upon thine enemies. Did I forge a dark pact with some fiendish entity that day? Or was it a rebirth, triggered by a future me, reaching back to the past? Panicked upon failing to find my body, the Orthodoxy chose to denounce my family and me as ghoulish vampires. Thus have I been living in a mortal existence ever since.
Then the name Vampire Castle is
A lie that has been perpetrated by the Orthodoxy for some 2,400 years. Though it is true I am immortal, I am no vampire. I find the smell of blood too revolting to ever drink it. Having said that, I have done naught to quell the rumors. In truth, I endeavored to embellish them. My ability to transform myself into a bat and grow these fangs are the fruits of many years. Long years of effort. Tell me, O Vestal of the Wind, what does the Crystal Orthodoxy have to say about the passing of the first Grand Patriarch?
He chose the second Grand Patriarch and prayed for peace and the well-being of the faithful as he passed peacefully from this world.
Passed peacefully from this world, you say? I know the truth to be far different.
What do you mean?
The first Grand Patriarch was assassinated, along with his Archbishop, the man who had been my bane. The assassin himself tells you this. There is no other truth. That was when I forsook this land. Soon after, sightings of the vampire Lester de Rosso began to crop up throughout the world. I became a veritable Duke of Darkness, forging ties with those bearing hatred.
Great
toward
name,
the
the
Orthodoxy
Duke of
and
Darkness.
those it had oppressed.
Beats the Duke of Earl.
I was the enemy
Duke,
of man,
Duke, Duke,
the hated
Duke
and
of Earl.
feared vampire.
Duke
But
of
more
Earl.
than that,
Duke,
I was known
Duke
as the
of Earl.
arch-enemy of the
Duke,
Orthodoxy. And after some 500 years, a fateful encounter with one whom you all know well. No, let us leave the matter for another time.
He's a wordy motherfucker. And really, it serves very little purpose for him to be so wordy. But it is, alas, it is easy for me to complain. You know what? Sweet. Oh, shoot. Of course. I missed a chest. Good thing we turned off encounters, because I'm sick of freaking random encounters right now. We get the Alamia's Tiara. Which nullifies Charm. Which will work here. We don't have to worry about her getting charmed. So really, Ring a Bell's the only one that'll get charmed. And that's okay.
A battlefield landscape?
It represents the long and hard-fought war between the Orthodoxy and we denizens of darkness. For 500 years, my thirst for vengeance remained unsated. It had also been 500 years since the Orthodoxy had been founded. The world was in the midst of an age of seafaring and piracy. Compared to the great exchange of ideas and information, the once hallowed Orthodoxy began to lose its luster. The authority of the Grand Patriarch and the Orthodoxy itself began to wane. Fearing irrelevancy, the Grand Patriarchy acted rashly to regain its authority. This led to the unusual decision to select a commoner, the gifted young Yuliana, for an important task.
Yuliana? Sage Yuliana?
Yes, indeed. At age 20, the young Yuliana became High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy.
It's hard to believe he ever was young.
It was no laughing matter. for there was no one more skilled at rooting out enemies of the faith than he. The shadowy ones, those who had been working against the Orthodoxy, were crushed by the host he led. In the several decades that saw him age, I cannot count the number of times we have crossed swords, he and I. In the great battle waged on the Karka Plain, the might of our clashing forces rent the very earth into a vast rift.
You mean the rift under Ison Bridge?
In the battle at the foot of Mount Fragmentum, our armies smoked the mountain to its very roots.
So that's how that ravine was created.
And in the battle fought on the Harina Plain, the once fertile earth was reduced to desolation. The loss of that fertile plain is believed to have ushered in the downfall of the Harina dynasty.
To think any sort of battle could change the face of the earth so.
We fought our
They
final
fought with
battle
cheat codes.
1,800 years ago on the Norende Heights in the land of Kaldisla.
The Norende Heights? That's where the Great Chasm opened up!
In the end, Yuliana, High Inquisitor of the Crystal Orthodoxy, utterly defeated me, Lord De Rosso, leader of the Shadows.
You were defeated? But you're here with us today.
Yes, well, there was more to that final battle than meets the eye. You see, I ceded the glory of victory to young Yuliana that day. I say young in my reckoning, for he was already 100 then. Yuliana returned triumphantly to Eternia with what he claimed to be my remains. What he brought them was not human. And when the Templar attacked the head temple 15 years past, it is said they found my tomb deep underground. Ever dreading the darkness and my return, the Orthodoxy kept those duplicitous remains under arcane seal for over 1,000 years. 'Tis a tale replete with irony, is it not?
Well, I would say our pervy little Yolanda, yeah, the old guy has some explaining to do of his own, doesn't he? A little bit more so than just the little bit that we got. Oh yeah, this is a little, big dungeon full of goodies to be found. We're almost through it, guys. I know this has been a long episode. I know some of you are like, couldn't you just break this apart? And I could, but then that'd be kind of lame, wouldn't it? Probably should have stopped it halfway up the thing, but oh well.
Say, Juliana.
Yes, indeed. No one would mistake such a man for young now. Having put down the blood-sucking Lord De Rosso, bane of the Crystal Orthodoxy, he became the first ever commoner to become an archbishop. Perhaps it was a small honor they threw his way, for he was already 101 years old and would not long count among the living.
That makes it sound despicable.
Agreed. The truth is, however, that was when Yuliana's plot was at its most clever.
The sage's plot? What was he plotting?
He was taking measures to separate you Vestals and the faithful among the people from the Orthodoxy's corruption. After serving some 80 years, he had witnessed firsthand how corrupt the institution had become. Should nothing be done, it would not be long before the putrid poison would do harm to the most innocent of the faith. So it was he vowed to rid the Orthodoxy of the source of this poison, the concentration of power.
But how?
For the great feat of defeating me, Yuliana had been made archbishop, but in name only. But such was not key to his plot. Timing was the key. The proper time to separate the
Oh,
Vestals
God,
of the
shut
faith
up.
from the Orthodoxy.
And
Remember how I said
just
there's a
one
handful of
time
games that are
was
very
defeated.
dialogue heavy? This is definitely one of them.
The Eternian Highlands. At the time, the
I mean, this is all
Highlands were not
interesting
so
backstory
formal
and
as
stuff,
they are
but
today.
this could have been introduced to us in
Movement of earth
segments
and rock
throughout the
was
game,
the
but again,
highest
ultimately it may not have, it really doesn't, rather, it really doesn't have anything to do with the overall main storyline,
Hold on a moment.
other than it's giving you a lot of the
He was leaving Earth
background
to know?
information.
How could he have known when such an event would take place?
I shall tell you in time. For now, I will say this. Yuliana bided his time till the Orthodoxy was cut off from the world. And at last, it happened. The Highlands ringing Eternia did thrust up to about half its height today. The Orthodoxy-ruled Eternia now found itself completely isolated, for this was an age preceding the airship. And while the Earth Crystal remained in their keep, control of the crystals of fire, water, and wind was returned to their respective temples. This, what you believe to be the true form of crystalism, is the fruit of Yuliana's efforts.
That was the sage's doing? I won't ever call him a miserable old lech again.
Sage.
Up we go. And we're barely just getting to the end of this. But wait, kids, there's
What is
more.
that glowing jewel-like object? I could swear I've seen something like that before.
I believe you have seen a similar sight countless times. It is known as an asterisk.
An asterisk? As in those objects we possess?
Yes, indeed. The second stage in Yuliana's plot against the Orthodoxy's authority was to deprive them of the power to grant vocations.
Grant vocations? I'm afraid I don't follow.
Before Yuliana intervened, special approval was required to change vocations within the Crystal Orthodoxy. In this way, the institution grew rich through fat profits they called alms.
Oh, so the Orthodoxy cornered the job market and the fees to participate therein.
In layman's terms, yes. But Yuliana exposed this fact before the reigning Grand Patriarch. It was then that Yuliana approached panicked high officials and the Grand Patriarch himself with a proposal of pure genius. He showed them a stone known as an asterisk, saying the granting of vocation should be based on it, overseen by the Orthodoxy. Those who sought such vocations would apply to the Orthodoxy and pay a fair price. Anyone with the means to pay could thus learn a new job.
That's no different from the old system where people had to pay alms.
No different indeed. But the Grand Patriarch and his officials had not but the material profits of the Orthodoxy in mind. Hence, they accepted Yuliana's proposal without question, even appointing him to the important position of overseeing the new asterisk system.
Corrupt religious
I fail
officials.
to see how that really changed.
Gotta love how that
anything.
plays out.
Well, it did far more than you would guess, for he was the only one who knew how to make the asterisk stones.
Why, that wily old fox?
So it was Yuliana robbed the Orthodoxy of its authority to grant jobs and took it for himself.
What of the Orthodoxy's profits? Wouldn't they demand Yuliana transfer the proceeds to their coffers?
Yuliana was long gone. Abandoning the seat of Archbishop, he fled with his knowledge of the asterisk craft. He also took arms and armor the Orthodoxy had seized from around the world, items of such power that their use was forbidden. He took them all and sealed them away in a hidden location. They now lie secreted away against the day the Orthodoxy's tyranny or some other impending doom threatens the people.
Go figure.
He then hid himself in Yuliana Woods until those who knew him reached the end of their natural lives. But that did not take long, for I led the forces of the shadows to ensure their swift demise. I had always believed the Crystal Orthodoxy required not but the crystals, the Vestals, and the faithful. With the institution free of corruption, I returned to my homeland of Eternia after a 700-year absence. Where my family's castle once stood, I built a fortress of ice from whence I have been watching over the Orthodoxy's head temple. Meanwhile, Yuliana retired to that land to tend to the Vestals, but you know of that better than I.
Say Juliana.
The more you know. Alright, grab this. I still don't think the rods are gonna be better than a knife, but we'll double check. It's not about, yeah, so that lowers magic attack, so. Yeah. No. No. Oh shit. Let's make a save because saving's your friend. And let's finish this.
I commend you for making it this far.
Oh, no more paintings?
The final painting lies beyond this throne. I shall reveal it to you if you defeat me in battle.
What?
The last test is a test of strength. I shall only reveal the painting to those whom I deem worthy. One might also say that there is no need for those who are unworthy to lay their eyes upon it. But be forewarned, I am a formidable foe. I trust you are well prepared.
Let us do battle. And much like the dragons, this fight plays out very similarly. I hate to actually say that, but it is true. Let me think here. I know poison doesn't work on him, so... You might laugh, but there's a reason I'm doing that. Wow, none of that worked. Great. Sweet. Of course he goes down. He always goes down. And here we are, back at this again. Now you might think, oh no, he hit us with an attack. End of days, woe is us. No, it is not. Because as you can clearly see, it doesn't count as an attack. Or I'm sorry, it's not that it doesn't count as an attack. It is a specific kind of attack. Attack that cannot kill us. Making it so technically we still are relatively good on the offensive here. Ooh, did I forget to do something? I forgot to do something. And this is the whole fight. She's fast enough to negate everything that he does using Utsusume, so it's just a battle of attrition? I don't know if that's the right word for this, but definitely a battle of he's just constantly doing things and we're constantly counterattacking. And since she's the only target, everything registers as a single target. Leave it on auto at this point. We can't lose! Anywho, I'll see you guys at the end of the battle, because clearly you know my strat. Okie dokie. Actually, it took a second try. But got it on the second try. Or so. I think it was second try. And ew. What a boring, drawn out fight. Oh, and we now get the asterisk of the blue mage. I mean vampire. Absorbs stats and abilities when attacking. Learns the abilities of monsters. Favors daggers, rods, and stays. Genome drain and vampirism. This class is peculiar. It actually is a good class, but it's got wonkiness to it, and I'll explain that later.
Behold, the final painting.
Now, before we behold anything, which you've all been patiently waiting for,
It is the angel descended from the heavens during my final battle against Juliana.
An angel?
When we last did battle 1800 years ago, the battle raged 100 days. The mountains of Norende rent asunder. Knowing the battle was reaching its end, I mustered the last of my strength to cast my greatest of spells. As my final attack surged forth, The angel did descend from the skies over Norende.
Are you sure it was an angel?
Verily so, for there are no other words to describe her. For a moment, Yuliana and I stood captivated. Before we realized it, our struggle was forgotten. We both tended to the angel. But the angel lost her light. Her wings were shattered and her body torn asunder. There seemed little hope she would live. When she came to her senses, she trembled with fear. Yet with little remaining strength in her body, she made unto us an appeal.
What appeal? What did the angel say to you?
Ere she passed from this world, she slipped in and out of consciousness over many a day. In between ever-growing periods of unconsciousness, it was all she could do to mutter incoherently. A trap most vile, such a fool am I, the warriors of light, if it's not too late. These she would repeat over and over. When she did come to her senses, she would speak of the calamity that had befallen her. She spoke of how Luxembourg was on the brink of doom, and spoke with precision of the events that has heralded its coming. She herself was surprised to find that she knew of details of our past, and events of the future as well. The struggle between the old faith and orthodoxy, the tragedy that would befall my family, my immortality, even events of the distant future.
The distant future?
Yes, for the angel spoke of events that have not come to pass even now. Events that await you in your future. She told of a bringer of evil who would appear in the guise of one friendly to the Vestals and seduce them into unleashing chaos in the name of awakening the crystals. This evil one would destroy Luxembourg by piercing the boundary that protects this world. And the opening of a great rift that sunders the earth shall herald its coming.
The Great Chasm.
The angel told of many other omens ere the great chasm would open. The light of earth shall raise up the north, and a deathly plague shall cover all the lands. Then shall a great rift rend the earth. She then entrusted me with a certain task, one that only an immortal such as I could fulfill.
What sort of task could only an immortal fulfill?
That I cannot say, for she swore me to secrecy. But thereupon she quietly passed from this world. For 3 days and 3 nights, my former mortal enemy Yuliana and I spoke of what had transpired. Ultimately, we vowed to join forces to prepare for the coming doom of which the angel had foretold.
Falling asleep just listening to him ramble. It's interesting stuff and all of that hubbubaloo, but ultimately it's just, is this something you need to worry yourselves over? Not necessarily. And thus, probably one of the nastiest little side quests is done. Now we unlocked a new job, that is the job of the vampire. And they come with the the means to learn monster abilities. They are inherently blue mages. Unfortunately, for all the effort that it's worth, as good of a job as it is to learn, it comes down to a matter of necessity. You don't need this job to really beat the game, and most bosses and enemies and their ilk going forward are going to be relatively watered down compared to what we just went through. There's still 2 more jobs out there. One of them, I'll just spoiler alert, one's story based and the other one is a side quest. But they give you an idea. We're getting to the point where the jobs that are available are coming to a close, right? The job system is almost to its maximum exposure, and what we do going forward is gonna kind of vary. And with the side quests done, it allows for us to work on leveling up characters with new jobs, like Templar, for example, is a nice job to put on people. to put on our frontliners, as well as getting Spirit Master and Arcanist even higher. There's no reason really to swap or make Ringabel learn Spirit Master and Agnes learn Arcanist. There's not really a benefit for them being able to do that necessarily right out the gate, but if things get a little wonky down the road, it might actually overall, end of the day, be worth it. So like once we get them to the next tier of skill, that would be something we would inherently want to work on. As far as the jobs and stuff goes, like she's almost got to Ninja 14. We may as well let her go the rest of the way. Same with him to get him to level 13. And then probably we'll put Adia on Templar and learn some stuff. At least get it to level 8 or 9 Templar-wise. And we'll do the same with Tiz. That'll take roughly 30 minutes maybe. By fighting the enemies outside. And then these two will get to keep working on Arcanist and Spirit Master as necessary. Because I want to see what they get at the next level. I think they get something good coming up. So that way they'll get the good thing. And then if I... Or what I could do is reverse them entirely. And then get them to learn Arcanist and Spirit Master equivalent. So if I need to have 2 Spirit Masters or I need to have 2 Arcanists, I can do that. So anyway, with that said, thank you guys for toughing out this long episode. I didn't mean for it to be this long. I guess I could have broken it up, but I'm reluctant to do that. We're gonna just leave it as a long episode of the vampire storyline, so to speak. And with that said, when we come back, just grab a bunch of these. When we come back, I will not be, like I said, I will not be partaking in the vampire stuff right now. Because I don't think of it as a greatly viable job. Whereas other people, the skills you can learn for it are really good. I'm not gonna lie, they are really good. My beef is that you have to go around through the world to find the skills, and that's the beef. I don't find much use in vampire. If I feel like I want to go back later and get it, I can. I could also do it right now, and just if I do it, I'm going to do it off screen, because there's no point in dragging you guys through all of that. So anywho, thanks for stopping by, guys, and we will see you guys next time.